Okay. We have a quorum now. Lily, please. Good afternoon, dear panelists. Good afternoon, dear guests. And welcome to our panel session, Digital Assets Revolution Astana on Global Map of Digital Finance. My name is Evgenia Bogdanova. I am Chief Executive Officer of Astana Financial Services Authority and Integrated Financial Regulator for Astana Financial Center. And I have the pleasure of moderating today's discussion on digital assets. Kazakhstan is taking notable steps to position itself as a regional leader in this space. In 2019, it started with launch of AFC FinTech Sandbox, an experimental regulatory regime in AFC. In 2022, AFC and national regulators launched a joint pilot project on crypto fiat gateways with participation of 6 crypto exchanges, 8 commercial banks, and over 50,000 users. This project proved to be very successful and paved the way for development of several regulatory frameworks in AFC. Today, AFC is a fully operating ecosystem hosting licensed crypto platforms like Binance, Bybit, Bitfinex, and almost 30 digital service providers. AFC participants can issue stable coins, securities tokens, and trade cryptocurrencies on regulated market. In the first quarter this year, overall trading volume was $1.7 billion US. There's comparing to the previous year, for the previous whole year, we had 1.4 billion. So we already exceed the annual volume from the last year. This month, we published new framework on providing money services, and this framework will enable use of stable coins for payments and cross-border transfers. It will facilitate crypto fiat transactions and offer custodial storage solutions. And this is just the beginning. We will learn today what is next. So we are fortunate to have to be joined by distinguished group of experts and decision makers. Let me introduce our panelists. Jaslan Madiev, Minister of Digital Development, Innovation, and Airspace Industry of Republic of Kazakhstan. Binur Jalenov, Chief Digital Officer and Advisor to the Governor for the at the National Bank of Kazakhstan. Sanjar Suleimanov, Vice President, Regional Director for Central Asia for Visa. Lily Liu, President of Solana Foundation, a blockchain platform. Nurhat Pushimov, General Manager for Binance Kazakhstan, a crypto exchange licensed in AFC. So let's now turn to our first speaker, Minister Madiev. Digital asset industry is relatively new to Kazakhstan, and regulation started with amendments to the informatization law in 2020 and adoption of dedicated law on digital assets in 2023. These were important steps in establishing a legal framework for digital assets in Kazakhstan. Since then, the market has made significant progress, and both regulators and industry participants have developed a deeper understanding of the specifics. In this context, what measures are being taken to implement President's directive to attract investment into Kazakhstan's digital mining sector and to develop tokenized asset market? Please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting to this important panel. So before I start, I just want to have some kind of diagnosis of the group that we have here. So can I have those hands who is actively in crypto? And the hands who is quite familiar with the crypto ecosystem, the laws, the legislations that's in Kazakhstan right now? Okay. Thank you. So we can see that even the people familiar with the crypto legislation, how it works, what the ecosystem is, more or less, maybe like slightly less than the half of this group, but the still crypto adoption is not that maybe big in Kazakhstan. But although, as per the estimations of some experts, that there is more kind of the higher gray area of this industry in Kazakhstan rather than the official one. But it's good that the major important steps are being done by all the regulators, including ourselves. So because we, together with the regulator, what's good to say, important to say, that there is a more or less consensus among the regulators who is covering the different parts of this area. We as the ministry, we are responsible for licensing the crypto mining firms since a couple of years ago, when there was a gray area in the mining sphere, lots of pressure on the energy system of Kazakhstan, and then the government decided to introduce the regulation, license the mining firms, introduce the taxation policy, and now we're being able to trace all the miners, have taxes, and accredit the mining pools in that industry. There is a separate regulator like AFSA who is regulating crypto exchanges, and we have already, I think, more than 10 crypto exchanges in the ecosystem, including the major ones like Binance, Bybit, Bitfinex, Big One, and there are more to come, and because they see the certainty and stability in the environment that we are promoting so far. So I believe it's important that to have a frequent communication and exchange of ideas on enhancing the regulatory framework, given that decentralized, distributed regulatory system in Kazakhstan, because there is also legal enforcement agency which is looking for the kind of some regulation in terms of safety and legal kind of utilization of that technology, and also there is a bank regulator who is overseeing banks that are allowed to establish on-off-ramp channels with licensed exchanges. So in this distributed regulatory platform, it's important to synchronize and come up with the innovative and advanced regulation in order to give certainty for the investors who invest into crypto, for those who use the blockchain, for the market participants who establish those crypto fiat channels, and for the big companies like the ones that I mentioned, in order for them to be kind of to ensure them that they can do the business securely here in Kazakhstan. So we are open for new ideas to expand this industry more, to trying to introduce the crypto exchange shops, to go beyond the AIFC regulation, to launch the crypto ATMs. So our goal, maybe as opposed to the other regulators, the central bank, to launch the crypto as a legal tender. So that's what we will be striving for. Thank you.
Okay. So, Ministry of Digital Development is a designated state authority responsible for defining state policy on digital assets. And going forward, how do you see the national strategy for development of digital asset industry in Kazakhstan, and how does it align with the broader innovation and digital transformation goals? And of course, we are all thrilled to hear more about Crypto City, which was announced by President Tokayev on yesterday's plenary session.
Thank you. So it's important, in line with the regulation and with kind of invitation of those big companies, it's important to develop and enhance the overall innovative ecosystem by bringing the companies that bring infrastructure to build like blockchain infrastructure, to build the new projects, the new startups, and it's not only it's not only about purchase and sale of crypto assets, because every other crypto is there is a project behind this, and therefore we need to provide kind of favorable conditions for those startups, entrepreneurs, for them to build projects on this blockchain ecosystem. And I'm happy to also invite our newcomers like Solana ecosystem into Kazakhstan. So we are launching Solana economic zone here, and we believe that the builders from Solana ecosystem will tap this region through Kazakhstan. We will have more startups, more developers, more hackathons in order to strengthen the human capital development. So in line with the developing regulation, the human capital development, providing the comfortable conditions for the startups in order to strengthen the overall innovative ecosystem, that's important, and this is where we will be putting our efforts as well. And sorry, your second question, the last one.
That was about the crypto city and strategy.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, well, the idea that the president announced yesterday is, I think it's very visionary, and that's in line what we see right now in some parts of the world who wants to be at the forefront of these innovations. And if you look at the rankings, I was really kind of surprised recently to see one of the rankings that Ljubljana became one of the, I mean, the top city as a crypto city, actually, and overjumping the cities like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Singapore, and some Swiss cities. So therefore, I believe that we have to be kind of brave to experiment. We need to experiment more. We need to utilize the opportunity of pilot projects in a limited geographical area, in a limited period of time, because if you don't experiment, you won't going to have data in order to decide and have kind of data-driven decisions whether you can expand this policy to the whole country or no. So therefore, I believe it's quite affordable for the country like Kazakhstan to launch crypto city or crypto cities in some of the zones where there should be a boost for infrastructure development and development in a way like smart cities. So, and I don't know whether it's Alatau city, which is the new infrastructure project for Kazakhstan, or whether it's Baravoy resort, Burabay resort area, or even here in Astana, we have a innovation ecosystem which is being very organically developed, the Expo territory where we are now. And several weeks ago, we have taken a decision in the government to transfer the whole territory of Expo under our ministry in order to convert the Expo territory to an exponential cluster. Because there is a mix of various companies which are sitting here, but the innovative ecosystems like Astana Hub, AIFC, Digital Ministry, our GovTech company, the Astana IT University, and the project that will be launched this year, Alem AI, which is the International AI Center. So those projects, they are strengthening the innovative ecosystem. But I think that we should be putting much efforts to bring here medtech, agri-tech, drone tech, cyber arena, game dev center, so in order to make this innovative ecosystem more resilient. Therefore, I believe with such pilot projects like crypto zones, crypto cities, we have to be kind of proactive if we want to lead that at least in the region.
Thank you. Sounds very promising. So, I'm now turning to Binur Zhalenov, who is representing National Bank. So one of the most advanced rollouts of the National Bank has been digital tenge. And if I'm not mistaken, over 255 billion digital tenge is already in circulation. So what real-world benefits is it already delivering, and what use cases have the greatest potential? How will CBDCs impact traditional monetary policy?
Thank you for the question, and hi everyone. My name is Binur. I represent the Central Bank, the National Bank of Kazakhstan. Before I delve into the answering your question, when Minister Madiyev talked about crypto being a legal tender, well, as a representative of Central Bank, we can start like almost religious debate about whether crypto might be a legal tender or not. but of course, our position overall as a Central Bank is much more liberal than it used to be. We fully support the idea of liberalization of this market. We do believe that we have to switch as many consumers as possible from gray or dark area to regulated white area, and now we work in collaboration with Ministry of Digital Development and other regulators to build this ecosystem together, regulated ecosystem. As for your question for Central Bank Digital Currency, so we initiated the project in the end of 2022 when the President stated an executive order to roll out the project itself. In 2023, we conducted a first transaction in digital tenge in cooperation with our partners, including Visa, for example. And last year, we mostly focused on the use cases related to public finance, public spending. The idea is that the programmability of digital tenge allows us to, in integration with quite mature GovTech, allows us to increase efficiency of public spending and transparency of public spending. We also experiment with cross-border settlement in CBDC. At the moment, we have two ongoing bilateral projects with a couple of central banks and hope to scale soon. As for the real-world use cases, I can state several ones. The first is related to use of digital tenge in public procurement. The idea is that we sort of earmark every token of digital tenge and can trace it till the end supplier. The idea is that we then have a transparent supply chain across public spending, which by definition minimizes the corruption or other activity. Of course, we stick to balanced approach because we don't want to earmark every token or money in ecosystem that's strictly related to public spending, and this earmarking is automatically gone when the money is spent to the reason it's supposed to spend. The second use case is essentially escrow. When something happens, the money is sent from one wallet to another. And this escrow also enables many use cases across public finances. We're now integrating with social wallet. The idea is that Kazakhstan is a socially oriented country, so there is a lot of different kind of social aid. And as a government, we want this social aid to be effective, transparent, and addressed. And again, escrow technology in combination with GovTech helps us to do so. We're also integrating with fiscal organs like Ministry of Finances, Treasury, in order to enable more efficient government revenue, essentially. So last year we launched the pilot project for VAT reimbursement. Previously, the exporters, they have right to redeem a certain amount of VAT, and it took around 75 business days. Now we decreased that to almost online. And many use cases. In April, we met with the Prime Minister and decided to scale use of digital tenge across the public finance. Now, in close collaboration with Ministry of Digital Development, we are developing a roadmap and will scale it. And as for the monetary policies, there is no empirical evidence that the impact will be positive or negative, because essentially we just changing the structure of money, and nothing bad is going to happen. But There is a potential risk of bank run when liquidity runs from deposits, for example, to the balance sheet of the central bank in digital tenge, but we have control mechanisms for that, and we do not see a practical evidence again of this situation.
And will natural persons have access to digital tenge, or it's only available to banks?
Right. So we tested, for example, in 2023, retail CBDC when the person have ability to open account through a banking application and connect card, for example, Visa. But now we're focusing mostly on the G2B or B2B use cases because there is much more practical value over there. So as a platform, this functionality can be enabled. But in terms of value from practical use case, we see more value in these public spending use cases. So that's why now we're focusing mostly on this type of activities.
At the recent press briefing, National Bank announced new initiatives related to establishment of fiat to crypto and vice versa exchange offices as an important step towards expanding access to regulated crypto market. And also, National Bank continues to operate a regulatory sandbox to test innovative financial products. So could you share more details on these proposed developments, and how will the regulatory sandbox be structured going forward? What scenarios are currently being explored?
Right. Yeah, thank you for the question. Again, our stance that we should look at this entire crypto activity as an ecosystem, not just like selected activities of having new licensing regime or whatever. So we now, in close cooperation again with the government, analyze how this regulatory framework should look like. And we starting from a new taxonomy, because at the moment, as you might know, there are from legal standpoint, there are two types of assets, digital assets in Kazakhstan, backed and unbacked. The idea is to make this taxonomy a little bit more complex and complicated. So they're going to be, if we're talking in MiCA terms, utility tokens or unbacked tokens like crypto or stable coins issued somewhere in the US, for example, USDT, and three types of backed tokens. We're going to introduce licensing regime for stable coins backed by national currency. We are going to introduce licensing regime for digital financial assets. Essentially, it's a digital assets backed by financial assets, for example, bond or security. And third type is like natively tokenized financial asset, when originally the financial asset is issued using the tokenization platform. And for all of these types of digital assets, we're going to develop the entire regulatory ecosystem. It's stakeholders, players, infrastructure, requirements to issuers, requirements to investors, investor qualification, limits, etc., etc., etc. So all of that is being done now. We hope to introduce this within the draft of a new banking law. Some of the amendments already in Parliament. These amendments are mostly related to tactical steps, but for long-term steps, we're going to introduce these kind of changes in the new banking law. Again, what is important? In crypto ecosystem, what is important is fine-tuning, right? Because more or less the regulatory framework is similar across different countries. What really is different is limits, investor qualification, and other things. Because fundamentally, central bank can regulate only crypto to fiat and fiat to crypto rails. Because once liquidity is in crypto, you can, well, you have KYC, but you have no control over that, right? And the idea is how to fine-tune this. In order to develop our own capacity and make a proper fine-tuning, we decided to launch a regulatory sandbox. Within the regulatory sandbox, we already have around 5 to 6 applications, both from real-world assets sides and crypto sides. In terms of crypto, we're going to help several companies to launch their stablecoins backed by national currency. The use case for these stablecoins are fairly straightforward, on-ramp, off-ramp transactions, and potentially there is great potential for cross-border use cases, regional cross-border use cases, I believe. The second set of scenarios is related to tokenization of real estate, for example. Then we also working with one company that is going to tokenize a debt market. There is some potential for settlement in stable coins for traditional financial sector, which we discuss with Visa, for example. So many cases, we expect around 10 to 15 use cases of tokenized ecosystem by the end of this year. And we hope that this experience will help us to further fine-tune this regulation so that we have a balanced approach. Our stance is quite pragmatic. We, as a central bank, our key mandate is macro-financial stability. We're not going to block innovation just for the sake of blocking innovation. But we still will be cautious because in the end of the day, we have to keep our monetary sovereignty. And when we're talking about, for example, making USDT or other stable coins a legal tender, that means essentially that we're making dollar a legal tender within our jurisdiction. So we have to be cautious about potential implications, how to work with that. But again, we're going to be much more liberal and pro-innovative. And hopefully together with Minister Madiev and his team, we're going to build, make Kazakhstan a key crypto destination, at least in our region.
Don't forget AFC. Okay, we heard the regulators. Now let's switch to industry players. And my question to Sanjar. Visa operates one of the world's most extensive payment networks, spanning over 200 countries. In Kazakhstan, how has Visa approached the integration of traditional payment infrastructure with emerging digital asset ecosystem? And yeah, we would love to hear about your standout projects, partnerships, and how that helped that evolution.
Thank you, Evgenia. Once again, first of all, thank you everyone who joined to this session. I think we had a great examples both from ministry and regulator perspective, how we're developing, and from our perspective, I think we covered over the last 2 days talking on different stages that Kazakhstan from cash-rich economy leapfrogged to 90 plus cashless economy just in a couple of years. And that's, I think, astonishing results across all over the world. And we're always proud, to give Kazakhstan and whole Central Asia as a real example how you can do the basically from simple things to complex one in easy way if you jointly work hand in hand with the regulator and all ministries. So again, the secret sauce probably in Kazakhstan is that we have this strong bonding and relationship between private and public sector. And we, as Binur already mentioned, we've been so proud in 2023 to launch CBDC-linked Visa cards, and we launched them with a couple of banks. So that was actually outstanding project from the perspective that we really test piloted with the blessing of the all the stakeholders, I mean the private one and public one, where the users, everywhere can pay with Visa card in more than 200 countries using the CBDC, so digital tenge. So this was one of the kind project, and again, we're working closely with National Bank, seeing how we could expand the new use cases. Again, I see a lot of potential how we can tackle the financial inclusion, let's say how people and students can pay this, using, let's say, CBDC link, like social card for the lunches that could basically will help them, spend the money where it should supposed to be, and not making the life not complicated. As for the Visa perspective, again, we announcing probably each couple of quarters, months, new products that we want to bring on the markets, and we will test in the nearest future a lot of new technologies, like Binur said, we want to test settlement and different stable coins that will help, again, to make the transaction more faster, more transparent, and again, to bring the Kazakhstan on forefront. The second Another topic that we have the parallel, I think, discussions is we call it the Visa Tokenized Asset Platform. So we already piloted that in Hong Kong and now in Qatar, and we want to bring on other markets as well. Is that like a technology that allow you to transfer your money, let's say deposits, from one bank to another, 24/7, 365, with better flexibility, better transparency, and of course, much better economics. That, of course, all trusted from the security and fraud monitoring from the Visa perspective. And last not the least, again, the word tokenization, I think super familiar to all of you. You will use Apple Pay, Google Pay on daily basis. And for us, tokenization is not only about the payments, it's actually how we can help to tokenize assets, how we can help tokenize other financial instruments. And again, with the discussion that we heard yesterday from President Tokayev regarding the establishing the crypto city, we are the company, super will be helpful here, to build this infrastructure. We have a lot of experience, and again, it will be a great example, not only on regional level, but globally, how we can bond both public and private, I could say, good manner, to make sure that we are doing the right things on the markets. Thank you.
Thank you. So you mentioned security, and security and cybersecurity is quite important as digital payment landscape evolves, and we are facing basically end-user facing new threats. So what could you share insights on how these advancements are shaping a more secure and resilient payment ecosystem?
Yep, thank you. Yeah, probably cybersecurity and fraud, it's another topic. It's always on our agenda. I mean, we always now talk about AI, and again, we just recently announced that we're heavily investing in new products. We call it like Visa Intelligent Commerce, when you easily and could pay with your agentic payments and all using just easy prompts on internet, using, let's say, ChatGPT or Perplexity. But on the other hand, we want to make sure that, first of all, there is trust, and the second one is security there. So Visa been investing heavily a lot in cybersecurity. I think we invested more than around 12 billion in cybersecurity, and out of that, 3 billion is invested in AI-based fraud monitoring system. So we help to prevent the fraud when it's not even happened. So we monitor transactions. We know a lot of things about both merchants and the clients, and we can help to prevent the fraud, and we will continue to invest in that direction. Just in December, we announced that we acquired a really great company called FeatureSpace that helps you to monitor the payments and transaction and transfer between people and the businesses across the world in real time, and it will prevent the fraud. So again, I think if you build the infrastructure, top of the mind should be the security and fraud prevention, because if there is no trust, trust is the backbone of every technology. If there is no trust, nobody will use it. So again, we as a company and technology leader in the payment world, we will bring the latest and the best solutions, and we already have discussions both with regulator and other state agencies, how we can bring our forefront technologies to the market. And we're happy to share the best practices both with the general public and the private sector, and together I think we can achieve really good results. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. My next question is to Nurhat, representing Binance Kazakhstan. So regulators worldwide, and I refer to IOSCO consultation reports, suggest that exchanges should be supervised and that they should be designed to detect and prevent manipulation, money laundering, and other unfair practices. So we are seeing a growing trend of trading platforms choosing to legalize their operations by obtaining licenses. Why did Binance choose AFC as jurisdiction to expand its business opportunities, and in making conscious decision to operate within regulated environment, how challenging is it for a licensed exchange, given the compliance burden, to compete with shadow market? And what solutions do you see for shifting volumes from shadow market to regulated one?
Yep. Thank you very much for your question. Let me express my gratitude for being here today and to say hello to this audience. Thank you very much. To answer your question, I think I would like to put it in four folds. First, kind of the reason why we're here. Kind of second, kind of the licensing path that we took. And the third is your question on kind of regulated versus unregulated. I think this all are very important points. I think first point is that strategic kind of Kazakhstan is a very strategic market for Binance, and especially taking all these developments recently from the president himself, Ministry of Digital, Central Bank, AFC. I think kind of that is a recognition of kind of our first choice, that we were right to choose this jurisdiction. Kind of Binance is a global player, I would say main global player, and I think for us it's important to recognize when the jurisdiction kind of decides to regulate crypto space and to decide to put kind of transparent, adequate, balanced regulation in place. I think we have, as a company, Binance have duty to be there. I think we consider it's our obligation to be part of such environments, part of such jurisdiction, to support it by bringing the technology, investing in infrastructure, building up the local teams, and invest in the human capital locally. So I think from that point of view, it's our need to be here. Also, I think a very important part of that is a dialogue between industry and regulators. AFSA, of course, our main regulator, but also we have kind of other stakeholders across the country. This is financial FIU, Ministry of Digital, Central Bank, and IFI, and so we interact with all the regulators, and it's important to have very open and transparent dialogue with all the regulators, because I think kind of to put the right balance between innovation and, as Binur said, monetary policy, financial stability, client protection, etc., is a very challenging job. And I think many countries and many jurisdictions and are trying to do that now, and not all of them are successful. I would say even opposite, kind of just few of them are successful. And I think Kazakhstan is a very good example on having that right balance track. So that is very important. In terms of the licensing, I think it should be easy, and it wasn't easy for Binance. It took us kind of a couple of years to go through the pilot project between AFC and Central Bank. We've been in a regulatory sandbox in the AFC for almost 2 years and kind of demonstrated that we comply with all the regulatory requirements, kind of concerning IML, client protection, onboarding practices, kind of market surveillance and protection clients from market manipulations. We kind of certified, and we have several certification on cybersecurity and also kind of data protection and cybersecurity, big and important part. So it was not an easy process, but I think we had a very deliberate and strategic choice to go through that. And the result of today is that Binance has 22 licenses in different jurisdictions. I think that is a huge success for companies as us. I think to address your points on kind of regulated versus unregulated space, I think we need to tackle this issue of unregulated space not only by restrictions, which is important, but it's not enough. I think kind of all the restrictions, all the walls always has the kind of ways around them. I think the main point here is to build and to allow the environment for regulated companies and regulated exchanges that allows them to be much more successful than unregulated companies. So I think kind of what we see today, it's not always there yet, but kind of I think we have a very good progress working on that. That regulated exchange should actually offer more to their clients, offer much more, and then that the clients and the users have kind of natural inclination to actually use regulated exchanges versus non-regulated exchanges. This is, of course, kind of tokens and products, and for us it was also a big part of our local development to kind of launch spot, futures, options, margin, all other kind of very important products that users want to have. It also fiat on-ramp, off-ramp solutions. We do have two, and we're expanding, and I think kind of we need the support across multiple regulators that I mentioned that kind of we could build that, not only for us, but for the whole industry. I think this is a very important part, and when we'll have that, I think that time we will see the natural outflow of users and clients from non-regulated area to the regulated area. Thank you.
Thank you. From your perspective as a leading global exchange, how would you assess the current liquidity and market depth of Kazakhstani digital asset ecosystem, and what key measures could help improve market efficiency and attract more active participation?
I think liquidity is a very, very important part of market efficiency. It's important for all stakeholders. It's important for us as a business. It's important for people and our clients, because that, I think, one of the main client protection mechanisms. And it's also important for regulators. I think everyone needs to recognize that liquidity is, I think, one of the main drivers that actually kind of will bring the regulatory outcomes to the practice, to the reality. So if you don't have, or if you have kind of enough liquidity, you have better pricing, because then your spreads are very narrow, and we see it and kind of on the global level that sometimes as a Binance, because of our liquidity, we could bring the spreads to so narrow that people actually cannot see that, because it's so many numbers after the comma. It's important for volatility. So if you have better liquidity, then volatility drops, and I think that also brings a lot of benefits to clients. There are so many examples why it is important for retail and institutional investors, for everyone. I think what we need to do to kind of bring more liquidity, just before I do that, I think we do see the huge potential in Kazakhstan. There is a kind of quite good build-up of the liquidity already, and we see that it's kind of growing steady, and there will be kind of very high volume of liquidity. But to increase it and to actually achieve that goals for everyone, I think we need to, again, be a little bit more liberal on several areas. We need to bring more institutional investors and institutional players to the game, like banks, payment providers, brokers, all should be part of that game. Otherwise, it's kind of traditional against blockchain industry. It shouldn't be that way. It should be all together. And by that, we could bring actually these goals. And it's actually one big point to actually address the issue of unregulated market. We know that the banks is the biggest gateways to the clients, and they should stay that way. So the banks and brokers and payment providers need to be allowed to work much closer with the crypto industry. And by doing that, you will bring that liquidity and then satisfy all the goals for retail, institutional clients, us as a business, and regulators. Thank you.
Thank you. Lily, we are very glad to have Solana in Kazakhstan. So what opportunities and challenges does Solana see in Central Asian region, and how can Solana contribute to building local capacity that empowers Kazakhstani market in new Web3 era?
Well, I think that some of the opportunities and challenges, there are some opportunities that are unique to here, but then also some challenges that are new here. But really, what I have been very impressed by, and I'm going to say originally a little bit surprised by, is how forward-thinking Kazakhstan is in embracing digital technology, digital assets, and crypto. Just hearing you speak here and just understanding how the central bank thinks about using digital asset rails to ensure transparency in public spending, and that is light years ahead of myself as an American. We all see the news right now, and we see how people talk about public spending, and there's even an ongoing raging debate as to whether waste, fraud, and abuse is acceptable or not. And so to hear you talk about, of course we should be transparent in public spending, be able to track that while also protecting the privacy of individuals is, I think to a lot of Western countries, actually a fairly mind-blowing thing to hear. Discussed, of course, matter-of-factly. So I think those are some of the opportunities that we see in a place like Kazakhstan, that there is a sort of end-to-end interest, willingness to be innovative, also be pragmatic, but in ways that are also responsible, right? With integrating digital rails, integrating blockchain and the financial infrastructure that comes with that into the range of consumer experiences to even public administration. That is very unique, and I think that's very special. And that's something that I think people here in Kazakhstan should be very proud of. I think that's extremely forward-looking as someone who's spent time in a whole variety of different markets. And as someone who's been doing this for about 10 years, most of my experiences have been where you are at odds with current regulatory regimes. So I think that's very unique. And I think that challenges-wise, it's the same thing everywhere when you have a totally new technology that is, in a way, if you think about it, it's a little bit crazy. Here's a GitHub repo, and this is technology that anyone can see, anyone can contribute to, and this idea that there'd be initially thousands of developers that would change their lives over to come build applications on this new code base that's kind of weird. And then the ability to then scale that and convince a number of users to use this for their core economic future is also a very large ask. So those are all things that we as the crypto industry have to continue to invest in, which I think, to summarize it, it's investing in talent formation and then also in capital formation. And those two things have always been the building blocks of building a company, building a country, building an ecosystem which is digitally native like Solana. And so those are the types of things we do for our own Solana ecosystem over and over, attracting developers, attracting builders, giving them resources, talent development, which I think mirrors how a number of countries also thinking about attracting talent, investing in talent, and really building a density of the most critical skill sets. That's on one side. And that's something that we're very committed to doing in Kazakhstan as well, because in this region, Kazakhstan is is the foremost talent ecosystem. That's something that's become quite clear to us. And when you have a density, already an existing density, commitment to attracting and developing technology technological talent, then that's something that that's a strong basis that you can build on top of. So that is some of the opportunities. I think that it is this sort of end-to-end collaboration commitment between the public and the private sectors and a whole range of different use cases, which I think is quite unique here. And like anything, some of the challenges in outside of the major economies is how do you compete for talent and how do you compete for capital when increasingly, one of the things that the internet has done is it's both created more opportunities for folks to access information, right, and be connected digitally, but it's also created a great mobility of talent and capital to oftentimes existing incumbents as well. So those are the two opposing trends that I think is a challenge for everyone to, all various countries to think about sort of how do you balance that for yourself.
Thank you. So Solana has its own cryptocurrency, and globally regulators remain divided on whether cryptocurrencies should be treated as securities, property, or means of payment. And as a key player in blockchain technology, how do you define the true nature of these digital assets? And I believe you had such dispute with the regulator on the nature of the cryptocurrency.
Well, not all digital assets are only a security or a utility, or they're different in nature because fundamentally a digital asset is just something that is using distributed ledger technology. And the nature of that asset, whether it's a payment token, utility token, a security, there's any range of ways people characterize them, has to do with the nature of the asset itself rather than the technology that it is being built on. So a stablecoin, in the most extreme, a stablecoin can be using the same technology standard as a meme coin, as wrapped Bitcoin. And the nature of the asset is clearly very different in all of these different circumstances. And the purpose of something like the Solana blockchain is to provide financial infrastructure to enable the creation of these assets in ways that reflect the desired use of those assets. So some of those assets will be purely permissionless, and that is most of the crypto native assets that we see today. That is the simplest, fungible token. It has no permissioning around the token and can flow anywhere and everywhere freely on the internet. And there will always be some of those. And what I think we see happening now with the entry of many traditional institutions into crypto is they're bringing their existing asset base, which collectively around the world is probably around $100 trillion of assets, and potentially tokenizing those on-chain so that those assets can also be represented and interacted with using distributed ledger technologies. So most of those will be securities, and they should be securities because they are securities. And that has to do with the nature of the asset rather than the nature of distributed ledger technology. Now, Solana has a native token called Sol, and the purpose of that token is to coordinate the network of validators that together comprise this financial infrastructure that allows anyone, anywhere to issue an asset, build an application to interact with that asset. And the vision for that is fundamentally the lowest level infrastructure for this should be open source, permissionless, and available to anyone on the internet to build applications. It's more equivalent to TCP/IP than it is to a Google or a Facebook, which are all applications built on the internet. And the reason for that is if we think the purpose of blockchain is to make financial markets, financial rails available to anyone on the internet. That's 5.5 billion people. Then to be most broadly available, you have to be open, neutral, and something that is not owned by any one country, owned by any one people. Otherwise, you will get wrapped up in existing considerations. So given that. We see ourselves as providing that financial infrastructure for then issuers to create the applications and create the assets that are appropriate for that use case.
Thank you. Do you believe that cryptocurrencies can replace fiat currency?
I think that stablecoins is where they converge, and that is where a digitally native representation of fiat currencies, I think, is going to be very relevant going forward. Do I think that fiat currencies are going to go away? No, because I think that people will continue to live in nation states, people will continue to live in countries as we do today. That is a core construct of how we've organized ourselves as humanity today. And as long as that continues to be the case, the vast majority of those countries will have their own national currency. And so insofar as that is a scale-adopted, desired type of asset that people will be using, which always has broad distribution because that is really the lifeblood of any economy, then that will be an asset. And the next question is, do people want to use that asset on these financial rails? And if so, then certainly from our perspective, we think Solana is a good technology to use in order to issue those stablecoins, and that we as the Solana ecosystem can add value to those assets because of the breadth of financial applications you can build in an open source environment. So what I think the core purpose of blockchain has always been to expand financial markets access. And that means all of the assets being made available in the same way that on the internet you have a full range of content. So the content on the internet is a whole range between things that everyone likes, and there's a lot of stuff on the internet that nobody likes. And that is what we've accepted in the internet to say, okay, well, it starts open, and then the applications and the users will filter from there. There are infinite number of applications, and some of them have much, much more adoption, market share, mind share than others, and that is always going to happen in an open system that ultimately some form of the market is going to decide. And so if we extend that analogy to the crypto ecosystem, to blockchain, I think you will see something similar where there's going to be a range of assets, and there will be some that everyone finds unobjectionable. Tokenized money market funds from BlackRock. No one has any issue with that. And then there's going to be 50,000 meme coins a day that also get created, and those, I understand, are highly controversial. But that is the trade-off that we make as an open system, that you have the whole range of options, and then you have the applications and the issuers then develop the market and also filter. So I see on these open systems, you're going to have the whole range of assets, and you will also have the full range of ways to use those assets. And the ways to use those assets will be the range between perps trading, which is typically, it's high frequency, it is usually used for speculative purposes, and then at the other end of the spectrum, the ways that people use assets, which is really just at the end of the day, how do people use money? And there's a whole range, of course. And then the other extreme, which is just payments, and that's a very simple, very straightforward, probably most common use case of how people actually use money. And our vision for for the role of blockchain in economies serving humanity is to have that whole range of assets and ways to use those assets so that the most appropriate ways for any group of people is available.
Thank you to all our panelists for the insightful and forward-looking discussion. Today's session has confirmed that the financial world is undergoing a deep transformation, and digital assets are rapidly becoming central of how we think about money, markets, and financial regulation. So the approach combines regulatory experimentation and strong institutional foundation. And today's discussion has highlighted that Astana is emerging as a credible player on the global map of digital finance. So Kazakhstan is ready to be part of the challenge and part of that future. Thank you all.